Hi everyone, welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Minna Crichton and today's date is the 11th of May 2025. So today I'll just do the usual, start off with an introduction and then I'll get on to the topic that I've got on my heart for this video clip. So first of all, keep in mind everything that's on my channel and on my video clip is real, genuine evidence of my personal testimony and the facts of my existence, referring back to my court cases. Everything is real, it's genuine, it's a real legal case, and I'm self-representing myself. The case, however, is definitely a person being used for a pecuniary advantage historically, and the beginning of what has actually happened to me as an individual started with privacy breaches. Okay, so we're dealing with a person, a human being, and her existence on earth. So basically I'm just contesting everything in court at the moment, but it is definitely a left behind case just from a simple breach, and then over the years several indictable offences is what it used to be called, but they call it, well, it is still indictable offences, but they call it, they've actually watered down the Crimes Act to actually cater for this new age system, which is 100% illegal. However, it is a left behind case. It is definitely culpable offences by many secret societies and those in public office, or those in the hierarchy. It's a global game. Okay, and so I am the victim of crimes, so everything I say is evidence and can be used in court. So as a victim, I will be describing the incidents in the moment in my own words, but it is definitely a left behind case, and unfortunately, because of the length of time this has been going on, it is now a case of crimes against humanity. All right, so it means everything will get undone in regards to me and my private life, because everyone has a private life, and to find out the truth, everything has to be undone legally and publicly to ascertain the truth and what actually happened, and also to make sure it doesn't happen to another person. Okay, it's also a lockout. Okay, the evidence clearly articulates that I'm a locked out victim since I was working for my employer. So there are several serial cybercrime. The evidence can clearly, from my point of view, and I've had a lot of time to heal, I can actually articulate that it's been an illegal Commonwealth game. It's been internal corruptions. Okay, so basically people have used me for money laundering, and that's quite clear. They've used me for relationship scams and illegal Commonwealth games. They've just taken turns, used me like a product, and then abandoned me. Hence is the reason why my situation is what it is. But it's definitely a lockout case, and I can actually confirm without a shadow of doubt that I was in a lockout situation while I was working for the Ministry of Justice, my employer, going back to 2000. I'd say the breaches started 2006, but they eventually got worse, and then by 2008 the breaches, by this time I believe I was already exploited at work and publicly, and then eventually by 2010 all hell broke loose. Okay, so I am definitely a trafficking victim, trafficking by force, and so it's a very serious criminal case. but I can confirm that it is a lockout situation, and what I've gone through can happen to anyone. And the fact that it actually happened at work, that's a serious situation on its own as an employee for the government. But these are the kind of crimes and offences that something's not right. You can't, it's like your word against it. They're psychological, indirect offences committed by secret societies. Either they're hacking into your laptop, having access to everything you're doing, like on a computer or in your home, and then they use somebody to follow you, like anime. It is illegal, okay? It's 100% illegal, so don't ignore it. They are using their car. And I can absolutely confirm no one is safe. So basically, I'm dealing with, I'd say every single law in the legislation has been broken on me without a shadow of doubt. So basically, I'm putting my life together legally and publicly. So I will be describing everything in the moment in my own words of what I see or what has happened in my environment, versus the secret societies who are actually building an illusion and a delusion over somebody else's life. While the person or the originals are confined, held hostage, and they are living off somebody else's energy or somebody else's good hard work. So it is definitely a trafficking ring. So basically I'm just putting my life together, taking ownership of my own identity, entity, my own ideas, my intellectual property, and obviously the life of a person, and anything that's tangible property that actually belongs to me as the original owner, and my existence as a person. So this all includes my court case, so all my civil cases and the criminal case in the courts is my personal property. I am self-litigating everything. I'm a paralegal. I don't have a law degree, so I'm representing myself because it's all about me, and I'm within my right to do that as a individual or an independent person. So anyone can actually represent themselves for their own property, so whatever it is. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it or what you can do. Not everyone can afford a lawyer, but in this case, I've been representing myself against the Crown, and everyone knows if you don't know who the Crown is, the Crown is the state. The Crown is the government. But to them, I would be classified as a whistleblower. Okay, so for those that don't know what a whistleblower is a person that actually exposes corruption. So obviously I am the victim. Okay, so you can't be either. The Crown can't be the victim. They're either the offender or they are pressing criminal charges against other offenders who've actually committed offence. So, but in this case, the Crown is the offender in my case, and so yeah, I'm basically up against people, powerful hierarchy, occupation, and it is global. So we're dealing with a global Commonwealth game. When I realised the reality of my situation, I felt quite scared, and I even just the whole. The reality of how serious my situation really was, and that I know that I shouldn't be alive, but it kind of explains everything and why everything happened the way it did. However, it is illegal. So basically, I have been contesting the unlawful strikes, my court case. So basically it's me versus the Crown and several body corporates. Okay, so I'm only just using the laws, what is available to me as a person that is allowed to represent themselves in my country, New Zealand. We're allowed to represent ourselves. So they've actually changed the laws, but the actual constitution and the foundation of any governing government, obviously, is integrity, and that is actually a code of conduct. So honesty and integrity is a code of conduct. So anything they put in writing, on paper, legally, well, it has to be a code of conduct, can't be fraud. But this New Age system, I feel that, I don't know whether it's public voting or what, but I just think this system needs to be abolished because it's illegal, and what they've actually interpreting the legislation or watering down the person's or the individual being used for a pecuniary advantage, like by lying and deception just to gain favor by the public. But underneath it all, it's actually a very serious criminal case of hostage taking and using a person and their families for a pecuniary advantage. So it's actually a very serious conspiracy. Just by animating or in animation or in anime, it's called in the law. If you watch my other video clips, that's what it actually means. But it's a modern day version. It's actually called using a substitute. The game involves Subway, so I mean they are opposing me by using coding words and using words to let their people know. So I have to do the same, except what I have to say is real. Nothing is actually fake or deception, because it can be used against me if it is. So being the victim of crimes, I have to describe everything as the truth, nothing but the truth. So it'll be all hardcore evidence. So the reality is, everyone, I have been used by other secret societies, and they are deceiving the public by building an illusion and deception. So the public deception is definitely is what they are able to get away with what they're doing. So for those that are straight people, I'm a straight person, I'm a Christian. I was brought up to do everything normal. So there's, so I'm talking about, I'm a mindset that is straightforward thinking. I'm not gay. I'm not anything that all these other secret societies may be behind the scene. So I'm a straight individual. I'm a Christian. I was brought up to do everything the honest way. Okay, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes just like everybody else. So they've actually, I'm the original. Okay, so everything they've done, they've actually suppressed the original, and then they're living off their energy or living off their goodwill or representing them secretly without them even knowing or without them even giving them permission. So it's globally, so it's serious. Okay, it's a very serious predicament to be in, and even just to do it as a joke, it's wrong. So basically I'm being duplicated, okay, and it is a commonwealth game. Other religions and cultures have taken advantage of the situation, okay, which is wrong. And they've used me for like a foot in the door for everything else, which is not good. So it's quite serious. Spiritually speaking, we're talking about a negative force. So my opposing allies would, in reality, these people are actually my enemies. Okay, they're the ones behind the conspiracy that I'm going through, or anyone that would join them. So unfortunately, the reality is, people's goodwill. Some people, are honest people and they're forgiving, which is fine and that's great. But unfortunately, out of goodwill, some people abuse that, and then they take advantage of other people's goodwill, thinking that they can break the law and get away with it. However, it is illegal. Okay, the word is illegal. It's unlawful. These people have not obtained anything honestly. And the fact that another person is suffering or trying to survive while these people are stealing their energy and deceiving the public, I mean, that is evil on its own. Okay, I'm not. I hate anything that's not the truth. In the legal terminology, also, or in other words, in my world of legal, we are, my occupation. We do not tolerate these kind of behaviour. Okay, whether it's just for a joke, whether other cultures, maybe other cultures' culture, but in the legal world, it's not acceptable. Okay, it's dishonest. It's a conspiracy. So these people would be classified as the conspirators, or the people that has been used for that is used for stealing. Okay, they are gradually stealing. And not only that, I have not given any consent for anyone to do this, makes it even worse for them. So I'm the original, and so the court cases against them, everything unlawful, like the judgments made against me, it's actually unlawful judgments. The judgments are being made in their favour, yet they have no evidence. Okay, so they've had no evidence in any of the cases, so the judgments are made just because of bias and prejudice reasons, and just covering up for each other. But eventually, everything evil does come to an end, and the conclusion is the honest people will wake up and have to undo everything to find out who's broken serious laws, because it's a serious situation. So there's definitely a perversion or perverting the course of justice in my case. So we're dealing with very serious wrongdoing historically. There's a clear case of a malfunction of the government system. So gross miscarriage of justice has happened upon me historically, and all I can say is words cannot describe the inhumane pain and suffering that they've put me through, and the mental injury that they have put me through personally. So I'm not giving up. I feel I'm within my place to actually put my life back together and use the government court system for myself to have those judgments turned over, and challenge them legally, which I am doing. Okay, so it's definitely a hate alliance when something's always negative. There's a clear case that the individual is subject to a sadist spirit, okay, an evil spirit that is glued to them and out to destroy and kill. And the only way they can do that is if they're glued to you like a double-sided sellotape. That's the evidence. Okay, that is the evidence on my court case, and that is what I'm actually disclosing and undoing publicly. But it's also an awareness for those that don't know what trafficking in persons case is. My case is definitely 100% a trafficking in persons case. It means that the enemy is personally glued to you. Okay, so they're twinned, glued to you, and they are personally micromanaging you, not for good things, but to actually eventually steal, switch. And if you are unaware that you're being trafficked, they can eliminate you, disappear on the face of the earth like you didn't existed. So I hope you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, but it is actually a very serious case. These people are glued to you like an evil spirit, okay, like a thorn in the flesh. And they are secretly, psychologically and mentally abusing the originals when they're by themselves, while on the surface they're trying to gain public favour and making money over the original, while the original are actually fighting their life. And I guess Henry Cavill's and I's story is actually it's just all meant to be. We both believe that in our hearts. Okay, it's to expose the game, to expose the system, and also I believe God has used me to be to find out and be subject to the secret dark, the trade secrets of darkness, because it's a very evil system. It's a very evil system, and now I'm a witness to it, and now I can actually undo everything correctly. All right, guys, so we're not dealing with individuals, although some are individuals. It's body corporate offences. So we're dealing with criminal liability for body corporate offences. Okay, so they're dealing with opposing me because it's their reputation, and no one wants to actually admit defeat. It means they lose their license, they lose their reputation. So, but in saying that, they have broken the law, so they're aversing a single individual who's opposing everything that they've done. We're dealing with body corporates offences in my case now. Okay, it would have been individual, but not because, but it's not. Yes, it is individuals but it's now become a body corporate offences. So that is the reality of my court case. Okay, keep in mind it's global. Okay, so I'm classified as a whistleblower according to the legislation, but that's because everybody in government are involved in, or a lot of people in government are involved in what they've done to me while I was working. That some of them have committed treason, some of them have committed perjury, others have committed embezzlement, others have stolen off my bank accounts, have stolen my other assets legally, that is still legally by law belongs to me. They've stolen it, and then they've used or like put the blame on me. I think a good scenario I was thinking of today, I recall a incident. This is a real scenario, okay, so I'll just to give an example of what I'm going through individually, is I do recall of a call where someone, it was a domestic violence incident, and I'm just describing this as to describe what these people are doing to me. Okay, so there was a police was called to a domestic violence incident, but I found out later on that a man had actually abused and beat up his wife, and then he rang the police and reported her for abusing and beating him up. And then when the police went around, it wasn't actually her, it was him. Okay, so I mean that's evil. Okay, so this is I'm just using that as an example of what animate or inanimate is. So those women that I'm being used to animate me, they've been painted as a picture to deceive the public as the better person. They're building an illusion. So anything that is illusion or delusional or deceived or devious is fraud. Okay, so I'm not doing anything fraud. You'll get nothing but the truth from me because this is my court case. So basically people have used me for money laundering and all kinds of very serious offences on one person. So there's definite home invasion that's easy to prove. So these are the kind of things that they are doing with me, these people that are secretly animating me. They are, you have to have a real sick mind to even have such a system. So, but what they are actually doing, they are glued, okay? They're picking people's faults. And they're picking on, everybody's culture, everybody's belief is different, everybody's life is different, everybody's set of circumstances is different. So what these people are doing, they're gluing themselves, and then they're fault finding, and then they are coding people and letting the public know to put them off them. Okay, this is the New Age system, and this is what I've been subject to. But it's also a character assassination. All right. So people can be secretly minding their own business because there's pure evidence in my profile that I'm definitely, one of these people that mind their own business. And I'm not a busybody. I just do my work, go home, and there's sufficient evidence of that in my employment records and in my private life. But someone secretly is defaming you. Okay, these people are gluing themselves pretending that you may be gay, or they're gluing themselves to pretending you're somebody else that you're not. So that is a disadvantage of not being aware of the new age system and the changes. It's actually really serious. Words cannot describe how serious it is. If I was to, find the word to describe it, all I can say, I can't believe I'm still alive to talk about it. But it is intentional, everything. And it is, they've basically dismantled me. So it's a personal thing. It's a personal vendetta by secret societies, different states. So there's definite recklessness. There's definite negligence involved. It's all intentional. And so I have not consented to it, but they've definitely dismantled me with the intention to murder and with the intention to steal something that doesn't belong to them, but they are cheating. Okay, it's 100% cheating. It's illegal, and I'm quite sure in God's time, everything will be revealed accordingly. Okay, so they've stolen somebody's life, really, basically. That's what they've done. And that's what happens when they use people like a product, or use people to like an app. You will go through exactly what I'm going through. But they are stealing somebody else's life. It's quite clear that everything I do is money, because you have to be honest for God to actually bless anything you do. Honest people do honest things. So, that is the... that's the advantage of living an honest life of integrity, because everything, when you do everything honestly in the right way, God's going to bless that. And it's quite clear that everything I do is honest, and they've stolen that and they've known that. But I'm just a prime example and a survivor of trafficking. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're an honest person, or your business or anything like that, you could be going through what I'm going through, which is actually quite serious. So, but the they have conspired to dismantle everything about me. So I'm talking about a hate alliance. So anything positive I do, they're secretly, like this fire brigade, taking everything out. They're luring everyone away, or turning people away, or doing something to stop something from happening. That's illegal. Okay, 100% illegal. And that is quite obvious and quite clear. Okay, guys, so it is a global game. So I put all these posts, so have a read. Or I get all my ideas and my wordings and my research. You can trust on it. Okay, it's most of it I do on my own. A lot of it's common sense, and it's common sense, and also personal experience, and also consistent with the criminal laws or the laws. But it's just basically me actually interpreting everything in English, plain English, so people can understand. And I know that a lot of good people wouldn't get involved in anything that's negative or anything that might backfire on them if they knew the law. So we're talking about an unruly society who think they can do whatever they want just because of technologies. Unfortunately, you can't. So basically, just have a read of all this. These things, I do get them off. I confirm them off the legislation, so I'm not making them up. But just basically, describing my situation of being cloned and glued against my will. It's really serious. They can do this to your children, okay, while they're at school. They can do this to your mum or your dad, or your sister. And the scary thing, it is global. So if you're unaware of what trafficking is, my video clip or my channel is what you need to actually watch just to get an awareness, because these are the kind of things they creep up on you. Okay, it's but if you're not doing what you can to protect yourself legally, you won't have any evidence to fight back. You will end up homeless. But yeah, it's quite a serious situation for any generation. Okay, so we're dealing with after the fact situation. Okay, now we've got like mobiles, as wonderful as they are. The question is, how easy is it to retrieve information to make sure that the person that is maybe a victim of trafficking, all their calls and everything, how easy is it to track to make sure that they're not actually a trafficking victim used for money laundering globally, like they've been used me for. Okay, so remember the old phones was easy to track anything, easy, but now it's not. Okay, mobiles get stolen. Mobiles, I don't know how easy it is to track all the calls on the phone. People change their phone number. And I can honestly say that the perpetrators have had full access to all my phone calls, mobiles. They've tried to trick me on the other side as a caller, and I've known it's them, like literally glued to the serial cyber criminal syndicates. So there's several perpetrators doing proxy hacking. So yeah, it's been quite a serious thing. But so the other thing about also our banks, the bank records, they've changed the system, so then it makes it hard for investigator to follow the footsteps of victims in the banks. And I've noticed that they're not as accurate as they used to be. Like you'll be able to tell the time or where they've been, because going back to 2010, I actually put in my protected disclosure that somebody has all my bank account details. And going back then, those information with the bank, they used to have all, because the bank, you can just read somebody's bank activities and you can tell their movements, how they're spending, see all their assets. You can tell a lot about reading their personality, whether they're a big spender or a saver or anything like that. So, but the banks do not have those kind of details anymore, which I think that's something the government needs to look at, because the people are actually overcharging people with fees, and they, you're talking about global access here. We're talking about people who has access to, who has money to pay to commit perjury just to have access into something, okay? But when the person is no longer exists, how in the world are they going to find out what happened to the person? The whole idea is to find out the real perpetrators. Okay, the technology system is manifested by underworld gangs and mafias and white supremacists and government job working together to actually steal off other innocent civilians easy. Okay, that's really bad situation for everyone. Okay, so these people are breaking all the laws. They're studying their victims, and then they're doing their indirect coding to their people. That's how easy it is. So we're not dealing with direct offences. We're dealing with them using words like I've been coded as Mexico, or they are actually, I find it very offensive what they're doing. Okay, we all know about Unison Dance Crew. That's a massive, there's a massive loss there for me. Well, it's quite evidential that they've stolen my identity, and then people have stolen funding money and then tried to blame me as the person who's stealing. So if you get the idea. So it's the same thing at that point of time. The manager at the time was a single parent. Okay, she had 6 children. So what happened is that the negative alliance or allianced with her to conspire to take over. That's what's happened. But they are being supported by other white supremacists, and then they've all paired up and ganged up on myself. And I find it really insulting that they've actually made the original in my space as the as the enemy, yet we're actually their victim. They're stealing off us, okay? In the coding, they're using the defendants' names. I'm talking about they're using Tony Fisher, who is the general manager, who is at fault in my protected disclosure. So we've got like the extremists, the Aotearoa, the Māoris and that, they're all siding with the defendants. They're using their first name, and then they're in government actually putting their names on their video clips. We're talking about the doctors who've broken laws against me, putting their name. It's coding, word coding, indirect. They know exactly what they're doing, so they can be, those videos can be used against them. They've even coded, it's like they're siding with the defendant, okay, because they know my movements. They know that my case is going criminal. So they're coding publicly, globally for help. Help save the rapists. Help save the thieves. Help save those who've committed perjury. So that's what's actually happened. All right, that's the truth of the matter. And they've also made my children as the bad people. Okay, so it's all done by coding, but it's a tactic. It's a criminal tactic by those in government doing their petition. They're slowly diminishing because they're scared, but I don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. It's wrong. So I'm opposing all that, and I'm just going to trust God with the rest, because I know I am the victim, and I know my family is the victim, and they've all been used. And I do find it very offensive that the defendants are the ones that are actually being treated like they're the angels when they're not actually, okay? But I'm just explaining the warfare that we are going against. The problem is that when I was at church, I knew that a breach was going to get worse, and I tried to stop it, because anybody in church are innocent civilians. They don't know the laws, okay? Yeah, everyone gossip. It's human nature, but gossiping is not a crime unless it's linked to a conspiracy. But yeah, so basically over the years, I've just watched everyone disappear one by one. And so not very good things have happened in my private life. It's definitely a home invasion. But these people are retrieving all our information, and then they're coding and then inciting using the social media. So that's a problem the government has to fix to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm a witness to it. I'm using it for good. Okay, people use social media for evil. But when it's linked to very serious conspiracy crimes of taking over somebody's life, destroying someone because you want to dismantle them, or obviously money is involved here, and also reputation. They've also coded Houston, okay? Everyone know who Houston is, and I know I've put video clips where they've made threats towards Houston, but they've done that with the others, with my other kids, or my other family members. They've also coded, so what they're doing is the white supremacies are like exalting Bernie's son over Houston, okay? And I know these boys, I know my son is innocent because he knows none of them knew anything about what was going on with the hip-hop group until I started going on social media. They have no understanding of the legal side of stuff because they didn't know, okay? But that is what I'm finding really offensive. Some people can't leave children out of their problems, but they get their kids involved. But I don't know, much about what they're up to right now, but these are the coding methods they're using. What I'm trying to say is the originals don't even know that, they're not safe because the enemies already encamped themselves in their private space. They could possibly be friends, but they're actually secretly conspiring because they didn't know what, anything legally of what is happening. So basically I'm contesting everything, because they have stolen my identity and then put the blame on me, which everybody knows I'm not. So I'm clearing all that legally. So this is what I've been up against historically. But yeah, so I'm not, I have to describe everything as it is. Okay, so they're actually inciting to help each other. They're coding the defendants' names in my cases, or people who've committed serious offences in my cases, and then they're tipping off the public. That's a breach, right? That's serious. And they've also coded people that may be the good people in my life, and then they're targeted too, and they're coded too the same way. So that's quite serious stuff. So quite obviously anything against the government, anything to do with legal documents is serious. It's judicial corruption. And it is definitely a conspiracy case when it's crimes against humanity. So whether I live or die, whether they decide not to do the right thing and put things right, I just know that all this can backfire at any point in time. But yeah, so it just pays to know your laws and not get involved in anything that is wrong, because at the end of the day, people just use you. Okay, people are users. They're only out for their own interest. But when things happen, they will quickly abandon you and shift the blame. Okay, I've always been independent. I've never gotten involved in anything I don't want to, that I feel is wrong. I'm one of these people. I'm a yes and a no person. If I'm not sure, I have to find out before I make a decision. So it's me just being independently thinking. And you'd find most of my cases been in the civil jurisdiction. So the civil judges are different to criminal judges. In hindsight, they should never have been lingering in a civil jurisdiction for 9 years or 8 years, however long the cases have been going. But it's quite obvious that they've been scared of the criminal jurisdiction, because, common sense is a criminal judge will never lie on a document for anybody, because that's serious. Okay, so we're dealing with unlawful everything, and me being incarceration. Okay, so like we've been imprisoned. There's actually nothing in law that allows anyone to do this to any individual. So if you're feeling trapped, if you're feeling incarcerated, like you can't go forward, it's very likely you're going through what I'm going through. So there's always consequences of exploiting a person. Okay, so I have found the white supremacists have been in government abusing their fiduciary duty and grooming other cultures, like using their jobs for the wrong reasons. Their motive and intent has not been pure, has not been legal. It's just been all about money and games. Okay, so there's a clear case of home invasion in my life and breach of all the legislation. So I'm going to continue on denouncing any public deception to do with Henry Cavill. He's not on social media, guys. I'm consistently just putting it up on Facebook with, just denouncing all that. I hope you'll see why public deception is serious. Okay, it's a conspiracy. If anything that's wrong, not true, fake, it's a conspiracy tactic by the opposing allies, and they shouldn't be doing it, especially if it's linked to court cases or to an individual or an innocent person's reputation. But there's definitely money involved in both of us, so that's what we're up against. And there's definite switching and, coalitions or conspiring secretly, trying to enforce the law without getting caught, or trying to protect something that is actually a criminal case. So what will happen to me will happen to all the other originals, if not already. Okay, it is a conspiracy. So there's already a massive loss linking to the government. So what usually happens in cases like mine is to undo every single thing, because everyone's had a life. Mina Crichton has had a life. Okay, I'm also known as Mina Noema. I have an alias. So all that, they have to find out what happened to the originals in my personal space to actually articulate what kind of a conspiracy crimes it is. So that's why it's important to know what trafficking in persons is. This is the global commonwealth game where they turn an individual into a app or a product, and then they're secretly doing what they've done. This is the end result, criminal case. Okay, so we're dealing with sinister, or they are sinister crimes. They are people who've already calculated, planned everything well in advance, plots and plans, and it can be actually calculated well in advance, 6 months in advance, a year. They can plan everything and expect everything to fall into place to the letter. So unless you are unaware of what trafficking is, or when somebody is actually in your space trying to control, manipulate your private life and everything you do, you could easily walk into a death trap. Okay, so quite clearly that's what's happened to Henry. Someone tried to kill him last year, and then that's happened to me also in 2010, and it hasn't kind of stopped there. Okay, there have been lots of incidents I haven't talked about, but yeah, that's why I keep ringing the police, and then I had to take the measure, the desperate measure of recording wherever I go every day, because they're in my space. They're glued. I don't know who it is, and so, for protection for myself, I've had to do that. Okay, so I'm a straight person. I don't like being confused, okay? But this game is all about confusing the victim. Everything about the game is confusion. There is illusion, is deception, nothing like... They first have to exile the person. They have to study their mind, and so that's what they're actually playing games over one single individual's life. That's what the evidence clearly shows. But everything, they try and confuse the individual, or they are trying to convince other people, other good people, of a lie. Okay, so everything is confusion. With the game that I've gone through. It's been really hard on me mentally. I've definitely gone through mental injury with what everyone's done to me. I can't explain it, but that's the repercussion of what I've suffered, is the mental injury, the mental anguish. It's all part of it, like getting angry and swearing. Like, everyone has different ways of dealing with trauma. Okay, but mental injury is trauma to the mind, and they're also, what is it called? They are influencing the mind by psychological and mental abuse. So mental injury happens, and that's what they've done with me historically. They've psychologically abused me mentally, making threats, humiliation, you name it. But mental injury eventually happens. And for those, like, I know that when Henry went through what he went through it, but he didn't know he was going through it, where you just get really angry about your situation. In your heart you're innocent, you've done nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden the massive change, and then getting used to the changes. I went through exactly the same thing. It's called mental anguish. It's normal. It's all part of it, and no, you are not losing it. I suggest get some counselling. Everyone has their ways of dealing with it, but it's not your fault. Okay, people have done wrong to you. If you know in your heart that you are innocent, by law you have every right to get your justice. But don't, it's not your fault. And a lot of people read their circumstances incorrectly, that they don't even know that they're actually being abused and attacked by people who are actually trying to make them kill themselves, so then they can get away with whatever it is they're doing. Okay, so there's a massive difference. If you don't know what trafficking in persons is, it does not mean you're cursed to when everything is negative. because there's a likelihood that you are trapped and other people are controlling and manipulating your situation. Okay, so just that's why I just feel that I've had to do what I'm doing. All right, so I'm the victim of crimes. Okay, so the victim of crimes legislation, anything to do with the victim, or that's for me. But the interesting thing is that they've changed the legislation. It's confusing. Okay, anything to do with law is confusing, mind blowing. It's really hard to understand. But I do understand it, and I try. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, trying to explain things in plain English to help others. Okay. Also, this here's new. I've never really saw this in a legislation where how to treat a victim. So a victim is anyone vulnerable. It could be a member of the public. That is a victim. Okay, so I noticed that they put here, for example, a judiciary officer, a lawyer, a member of the court staff, a police employee, probation officer, or a member of the New Zealand Parole Board is classified as a victim. Okay, yes, they are victims if they haven't broken the law. So know the difference, okay? The law clearly says, if you watch my other videos, I haven't got time to bring out the other laws, but the law clearly says it's somebody vulnerable. It's a vulnerable adult, okay? But these people, yes, they would be vulnerable adult, because when I was working for the government, yes, I was a vulnerable adult. I would be classified as a vulnerable citizen, or one of those people that mind their own business. We are definitely that, but the moment that they break the laws, they're not. They are the offender. Okay, but a victim is supposed to be treated with dignity and privacy, meaning if the police is doing their unlawful arrests and then they are being rough and treating you without dignity, or like what they did with Henry, if it's on one of my video clips, he's definitely the victim, but that's clear case that the police are using their job for the wrong reason. And they can also get a search warrant, but they've got to have a reason, and also it can backfire if something came out of it that they were actually innocent. You can still complain about the incident go through the complaint process for the police. It's called independent police code of conduct authority. Hang on, I'll just get the right name. Yeah, it's actually called IPCA. It's Independent Police Code of Conduct. So you can actually lodge complaints with them. The downfall with what I've gone through is that they've already knew who I was. Okay, they'd already invaded my private life. They'd already stolen off me. They already know who I am. And some of my court cases, I use the forms. Hang on. I had actually used the forms for financial hardship because of my situation at the time. And they actually, on those forms, you can actually fill it out and ask, for public intervention, because it's a public interest case. So anything to do with anyone in government, it's a public interest case. Why? Because these people have broken a law. Okay, so you break the law, you are a threat to the public welfare. So it is a public interest case. My case is a public interest case. Unfortunately, all this has happened to me. It's a serial. I've definitely gone through all this cycle. Okay, I've been personally attacked for my religion, my beliefs, money laundering, and all the rest of it. You name it, they've done it. But this can happen to anybody. Any human being used as a generator is a crime. So if you can gather enough evidence, you can actually sue the government or whatever body corporate behind what you're going through. Okay? It's a very serious criminal case. So I'm actually suing them, well, they have to anyway by law. So I'm just going through my criminal case at the moment. Just one moment. Okay, so I'm dealing with my case. Everything about me has been money laundering. Okay, so the reason why they're doing what they're doing, reputation is important. Okay, so the reason why is because I know a lot of people, a lot of corporate bodies, or a lot of businesses are reliant on funding. Okay, so, I believe this is what they're doing, all this trickery to ruin somebody else's reputation. So then they can see the person that's been animated as a better person. Well, sorry, but that is an offense. Okay, I find that really, really cheap and cheating. It's dishonest according to the law. And so that is what they're using the relationship for, the relationship scam. So I'm up against all that. As far as my court case is going, I'm really happy with it at the moment, even though I can't wait for it to end. But I'm just going with the flow. If you have access to my Facebook page, I actually had submitted the other reason why other people have been able to steal off me is because of my privacy. Okay, they'd already studied and stolen off me going back to 2010, so they already knew who I was. The thing is, other people have taken turns using me. Other cultures, other religions, all taken the opportunity to do the same thing by using substitutes. So there's a whole lot of different people who've played the game and making it even more and more dangerous as the years go by. But if the judges had gotten all the evidence, I don't believe that they would even write any unlawful anything. Okay, so this here is an exhibit for those. If you got access to Facebook page, you can go on Facebook page. Okay, because my Facebook page and my YouTube channel are actually exhibits. Okay, it's clear evidence of home invasion. But this here was an exhibit. I got a letter of reference from a chief judge. He was what is he? Yeah, he's an executive judge for for the courts that I was working with when I was doing jury trials deposition. So all this here is an exhibit. Okay. In the courts, but what people are doing, like fault finding, they are, instead of, like, nothing has been private. Everything is supposed to be private, but it's not. Other people, the opposing allies, are using their friends and their families just by gossip and digging up people's past and stealing and trying to find evidence against me in this matter. Okay, they're trying to find fault finding. So they're accessing your home, and just because somebody has got maybe, a bottle of alcohol, and then they think, oh, they're an alcoholic. I mean, they're fault-finding things that aren't even illegal, okay? And I believe this is like more of a religious thing. Some people are using their religion as an excuse to try and put people off a religion or a person. But that's illegal. But that's all what they've done to me. Okay, so it doesn't matter how perfect you think you are, how rich you are. This system, with what they've done to me, will take anyone out. Okay, because there are several perpetrators operating at once. Okay, so we've got, cultures, we've got religions pairing up to take out a single person. That's what's happened to me. So this here was dated on 27th of June 2003. I was working for the Department of Courts. Like I said, this is actually an exhibit. I actually loved the job. I was doing jury trials deposition, and this was the beginning of what of what God wanted me to learn and what I've gone through personally. But then I had to change occupation because my kids were young, and I, family first at that point of time. I actually really loved the job. In fact, I think it was just, I was starting to get a bit ambitious. I would have done really well if I had stayed there. But family first, it was my situation at that point of time. And especially I just felt like God knew I was getting a bit ambitious, but I think he just wanted me it was like I started from the top, really. I started from the top, and then circumstance change, and then, so I ended up going to doing the summary jurisdiction, which is, they're not indictable cases, but I felt God has made me start from the top, working my way down, and then working my way around as far as the court system, and trying out this new age system for myself as an individual, because I have that right too. Okay, so I have actually legally, according to the law, pressed criminal charges on the Ministry of Health, City Med. But they have not made it easy for me. Okay, everybody's in on it. I feel like everyone's against me. I'm only human, but I have not found it easy what they've done to me. Okay, it's intentional. So, okay, guys. So keep in mind, it's internal corruption. They're listening, and everything internal is contaminated. So what I'm going through can happen to you. Alright, guys, I'll end it there. Sorry I've gone a little bit longer, but I just thought I'd keep in the moment. I know everyone's watching, and YouTube is letting me know they're actually enjoying my videos because it's real. But it is a matter of life and death, okay? No one should be going through what I'm going through. It is actually very serious that we can easily be locked out from our own government or from anything, and be used for money laundering. Okay, so basically the end result is, if you don't have any evidence to protect yourself, you will end up homeless, and you will lose everything, even your life. Okay, the opposing allies, they're fighting for the people, they're fighting for their families and friends. In my case, they're fighting for the defendants, or people who've committed serious offences. They're fighting for their reputation. So that is what I'm up against. Everyone's not safe, so you can't just trust everybody. Unfortunately, the people that are all the ladies and the women used against me, they are the allies. Okay, they are the opposing allies. So if you've linked yourself with them, you are, it's not safe for me or you anymore. So it's just the way it is at the moment till the court case is finished. But I'll keep my evidence in the moment. But these women, or their culture, their religion, they're all ganging up. They're using their jobs. So stay safe. Have a serious mindset. If you're a no-nonsense person like me, you know exactly where I'm coming from.